Hello and welcome to the Tuesday Checklist, the weekly show where we gather round and share our personal gaming stories for you to laugh at. And you will be laughing at us during this one as we reveal gaming mistakes so massive they ended up completely ruining our entire playthrough. Do you have any of your own examples you'd like to share? Let us know in the comments. First up in the hot seat of shame, it's me.
So, a thing I did that completely ruined my game, and it was very heartbreaking because I only realised this right at the very end, and it was a thing I did that stopped me being able to finish the game, and I was about 60 hours into it at this point, was when I first played Final Fantasy VIII. And for those of you who've not played Final Fantasy VIII, there's the system underpinning everything in the game, like all the combat, is called the junctioning system, and it is quite complicated when you don't know how it works. And when I was 11 years old, I didn't know how it worked. And even when I was reading the tutorials at the beginning of the game, I still didn't know how it worked. It's one of those things that you don't really understand until you do it enough that you understand it. And I didn't understand it for 60 hours. And I'd gotten all the way to the point of no return, which you often get to in RPGs, where it's like, ooh, are you sure you want to go past this bit? Because the final boss is up ahead and there's no going back. And I was like, yes, I will do it. Thank you very much. And so I went through, and as is often the case with RPGs, the final boss is like a big test. It's like an exam that says, how well have you understood everything that this game has to offer? Because I'm going to test you on all of it now. And I quickly discovered that I had just not understood it at all, and it got to a point, it's a 4-stage boss fight, the final boss in Final Fantasy VIII, and I got to the second stage of it, which is where Sorceress Ultimecia summons her guardian force, a big monster called Griever, and I just couldn't beat Griever at all, because it did this attack that you have to have the junctioning system down. You have to have... I'm not going to go into the explanation of how it works, but my defense stat just wasn't junctioned high enough to survive this attack, basically.
I love that Rosie's nodding and me and Ash are like...
There was... I'm trying to explain it so Nathan, Ash sort of know what I'm talking about. Basically, it didn't matter how good I was at the game. It didn't matter how well I performed in this fight. A certain stage in the fight, it triggered this boss doing this move, where he's like, ha ha ha, suck on this. And I just couldn't survive it. It did too much damage to me. I didn't have enough health. I just couldn't do it.
Rob, this is just making me smile so much because you said this happened to you when you were 11. This happened to me last year. And then I remember, and Rob, I messaged you about it being like, Rob, I've ruined my save. I'm going to have to start the whole thing again.
Yeah. So basically, to try and explain this to Ash and Nath quickly, you have stats in Final Fantasy VIII, like your attack stat, your defense stat, your magic power stat, all the traditional stats a character would have in an RPG. And you can junction magic onto those stats, and those stats increase depending on what magic you junction onto them. So for example, your hit point stat, you can junction cure magic to it, and it will make your hit points go through the roof. You can junction like fire magic to your strength stat, which will make your strength stat really strong. And I just didn't understand the concept behind that. I just didn't understand it. So I hadn't stocked up enough magic to make my stats go high enough. I hadn't understood what magic I was supposed to be junctioning where. I'd missed a bunch of guardian forces through the game, which are the creatures that allow you to junction magic to your stats in the first place. So for some stats, I couldn't even junction anything to them because I hadn't learnt the ability to do it yet. So basically, the long and short of it is, I just had to start the entire 60-hour adventure from the beginning. And eventually I did it, and it was one of those eureka moments when you're like, so that's what I was supposed to do. And when you nail it, it actually makes the final boss almost ridiculously easy, because you just collect enough magic, junction the right magic to your sats, and you're so powerful, nothing can do anything to you.
This suggests to me another feature we should do, which is things we don't understand in games that we love. Has anyone ever used the mutagen system in The Witcher 3? Because I certainly haven't.
Yes, I loved that. That was.
I don't know what it does.
It took me a while to sort of understand that, I think, and I can't remember it now, but I do remember finally sort of getting to grips with it.
I've got the platinum on Bloodborne. I still don't really understand blood gems.
I don't understand anything in that game besides hit things. That's it.
Hit and dodge.
Hit and dodge, maybe. So a decision that I made that ruined my game, and I had to play it again also, was Detroit Become Human. Because there's a whole system about whether you want like a good ending or a bad ending. And whenever I play like these decision-making games, I just vibe for a while and see what I want to do, what's going on. And there's the key kind of narrative is about Marcus, and he's this android, and he basically becomes a deviant android, which is one that gains sentience and can kind of rebel back against human control. Because in this world, all the androids are like servers, all of the humans have androids as help and people that do things for them. So they're just kind of like, whatever humans want them to do. So when they get deviant and become sentient, it's like, oh my god, they've got a mind of their own. And Marcus wants to lead this uprising of androids to gain their freedom and, be recognised as a people rather than just robot servers. So, when you're playing as Marcus, there's all of your decisions are kind of about human perception of androids and how they're going to see you and how they're going to respond to you, and making this new future for these people. And because I was just like doing what I wanted for most of it, I was like, well, I'll just see what happens. I'll just see what happens without really thinking. And the first kind of moment you get to kind of show the humans that you're serious is you go up the Stratford Tower. And you do a big speech. You take off your skin, you're all naked and white and shiny, and talk to the world and are like, hello, you better take us seriously, we're androids, we're coming. And you can either do it really peacefully and be like, hello humans, we'd like to live with you, or you can be like, I will kill you all, and that's that. And because I wanted to give a firm message, I didn't realise that it was going to be quite as aggressive as it was, but there's like a choice at the end where it kind of decides which way you're going to go, where it's like peacefully or determinedly. And I was like, these humans, man, they've been rude as hell. Of course I'm going to be determined, I want to know I'm serious. And as soon as you do that, it's like the humans all have these news reports come up being like, we're being threatened, they're coming after us, everything's bad. And I was like, ooh, I'm going to have to do some damage control after this point. So I was like, okay, well obviously some actions are going to have consequences. So as it went on, I was like, I'll rein it in a bit, I'll rein in my bloodlust and try and do it a bit more peacefully. And it gets to a point where you go to a bandstand and North, your mate, who's also a deviant android, we're all hanging out together, comes up and just gives you a Molotov cocktail and is like, you know what to do. And I was like, I do! And I was like, yes, I will burn the bandstand, I will. And once you do that, it doesn't matter what else you've done in that area, it's a violent riot. So you start like burning everything, all the androids are like, burn! So you just start destroying everything. And it ended badly. And after that, I was like, I've made another mistake. Oh well. And got to the ending point where you have to decide whether you do a peaceful march or you just like full out, you're like, it's war. I will take it by force. And because I wanted the good ending where everyone survived and managed to get everyone mostly alive to that point, I was like, I'll just go for the good ending. And tried to do a peaceful march. And it got to the very end. And if you haven't got the human opinion high enough, it doesn't matter what you do. So I started singing my song of peace and freedom. Come on, androids, this is our time. Come on, deviants, let's do it. And they just gunned me down, and that was the end of my game.
And that was the end of Marcus.
And that was the end of that. And then like everything else just went wrong from that point, because Connor's in a cyberlife facility and his mate Hank, who's a human, who's just like, oh, androids suck. You make friends with him, and I tried to be friends with Hank and accidentally got him shot because I ran around too quick and was trying to help him, and he got shot. And Kara, who was trying to cross the border, because everybody hated humans at that point, she tried to go through the thing and they were like, android, get her! And that was the end of that as well. So everybody died, and that was my first playthrough. And it was really horrible and like intense. It was. I didn't expect it. I was like, oh, it's fine. I've said all the good things by this point. Surely they'll be forgiving. Humans, though.
What about Connor? Did Connor at least survive?
Connor survived. I think he got. I got stuck. There's a moment where he gets taken over by Cyberlife because I made him deviant, and there's a moment where he gets taken over by Cyberlife, and you have to run around in your like mind palace and find the exit, which is like this like previous thing that if you wander around your mind palace beforehand when you're doing your detective stuff, you see it and you're like, what's that? And I just completely forgot about it. So I was just running around in circles in the snow going, and then Connor got taken over by Cyberlife and became an evil figurehead. So that was also part of that. I played it all through again. I kept going back because I have the flowchart system, so I kept going back once I did my whole playthrough and was like, I went back and kind of changed some chapters to see if I could get it to the end, and then realised to get all the trophies that I needed to start all the way again like twice. So I just played it for like weeks straight, being like, I will see everything through to its end and I will get all the trophies to prove this game that I know what I'm doing. And I did, so that was that.
So my entry about a game which I ruined, slightly unusual. I nearly went for playing Dark Souls as a pyromancer, which I thought was like fun in an inverse way, because I ruined it because it just made it quite easy. So everyone's like, Dark Souls is so hard, and I was like, did you try just setting fire to everyone, because it really makes the game much easier. But the one I'm going to do is Infamous, which is, I saw the other day that Infamous 2, it's 10 years old, quite liked Infamous 2, but I really liked the first game, Infamous 1, which I reviewed in 2009 when I was still on Official PlayStation Magazine. This is on PS3, and the thing that I did in the game, which ruined it, it's got the whole moral choice thing, it's nothing to do with that. So bear in mind that in 2008, trophies arrived on PlayStation 3. They were launched, they were a big new thing, everyone loved trophies, and I didn't get a platinum, as everyone on the channel might know, for quite a long time. I got close to a few early days, but I just didn't think of myself as a platinum person. But I was reviewing Infamous, so I had loads of time with it. Now back then, you would play, it's so different now, but when you were reviewing a game, you would have a special machine, test machine. The developer, the studio, would send you a disc, and sometimes it had extra security features on it in case the disc went missing, so that people couldn't pirate the game. And in this case, Sucker Punch Games, who are very famous now for having made Ghost of Tsushima, sent out...
And Sly Cooper.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Sent out a disc, and it had like a little dongle in it. So you put the dongle in the front of the PS3, and then that's the only time it would work. So there's me, I'm playing Infamous, played it for hours and hours and hours, and in Infamous I was like, I'm loving trophies. Trophies are new. There was a bunch of them to do with stunts. As you get more powers, you have to like, jump in the air and like kill 3 people on the way down, and all of this sort of business. And I was working through them, and there are collectibles called blast shards, because at the beginning of the game, big thing blows up, that's what gives everybody powers, and there are 400 blast shards in the game, and so I was like, this is the first time I've ever tried to do collectibles in a game, ever, and you can see them on a minimap, because you're sensitive to them, so you can kind of figure out, it's kind of like, they're on the minimap, so it could be anywhere, you have to climb buildings and stuff, but you can puzzle it out, you can find them. So I found 399 of these blast shards out of 400, and at that point I lost the dongle that that enabled me to play the game, and that's basically it. I just couldn't platinum this game, and I was so close, but because I was so close and I knew that I couldn't take the save off this old machine to put it somewhere else, so I couldn't carry on this game because it wasn't the same version, it wasn't compatible with if I just bought the game. So for an entire decade I was left on 399 blast shards, but knowing that if I went back I would have to get all 400 again. I wouldn't just be able to go into the game and just get one, and that it was because it was the 10-year anniversary in Christmas 2019 on PlayStation Now. I was like just messing around on Infamous, and I was like, do you know what? I'm going to do it. And I did do it, and I found the one that I was missing. It was in the tower, everybody. That's why I thought it was out at sea somewhere, but it was the one that's in the in the crash site in the tower. And I did all the stunts, and I got the platinum trophy. So it's a happy ending. But for 10 years, losing a USB dongle meant that I had completely ruined that game.
Who knows how many platinum trophies you'd have now? if you tasted the sweet nectar of platinum trophies back then.
I think it did reinforce that idea that it just wasn't for me. I'm just not the sort of person who completes things. Just give it up.
You definitely are.
I
as
am.
we all now know.
And when I moved house, years and years later, I found it. So, but by that time, I didn't have the test machine or the disc. So, yeah.
So, my decision I made, I don't. The thing is with my entry, is that I don't know if I've ruined the game yet, because I've still yet to finish it. However, whenever I tell people that I decided to do this thing, I get the response of, well, you didn't do that? Oh, no, you should have done. Oh, no, you know, that kind of response where you're like, did I do something bad? I thought I was doing something good. But it's in Mass Effect 1, and it's scanning the keepers. The keepers, basically, they maintain the Citadel, which is like the big, kind of like where everyone can go and everyone has a good time. So all you see, they don't talk to any other, like they talk to no one apart from each other, and all they literally do is just sit there on the computers and just make sure the Citadel is afloat and everything's all good and happy. Oh, and I forgot to say, there's a forbidden rule where you're not allowed to intervene with their work. You're not allowed to try and talk to them. You're not allowed to try and, like, you know, hack their systems or anything. You just got to let them do what they do. It's like the law. Just leave them alone. Then you come across a mission where there's a character, at least I think you can talk to 2 characters, but at least I came across one, and he was like, oh, hello, I want to scan these keepers, because, you know, they've got what if they have information and things that we don't know about, like, really important things. I was like, oh, that could be very important, but I didn't know at this point, like, you know, in the game that this was an illegal thing to do. Like, you know, my shepherd started scanning the keepers. I think there might be around 20 or something in the Citadel, but I got to around 11 or so. So I did around half. And then the side quest sort of develops a bit more, and then you find out, you know, that it's really bad. You basically have the choice then of being like, do I, like, just ignore them and be like, oh, that's fine, like, you know, I'm just gonna carry on scanning the keepers, nothing wrong with this, I'm a good shepherd, la 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 la, or do I be like, no, this is illegal, like, this is naughty, go in the naughty sea, we have to stop what we're doing, this is naughty. And my shepherd is a good shepherd. My shepherd doesn't like doing anything bad, or I think I got like 1 paragon point for something, and it made me really, really sad, and I was tempted to restart the save, but I didn't restart the save.
It'd be funny if this whole entry was I got 1 paragon point in Mass Effect 1 and I had to restart my game.
I was so tempted to.
Do you mean renegade point, Rosie?
Oh yeah, what did I say?
1 paragon. Paragon's the good one, right?
No, Paragon's sorry, I want to be a Paragon. Renegade. Sorry, I got 1 renegade point, and it made me really sad, so I was messaging my friend Liam, and he was like, don't you dare restart your save just because of that 1 renegade point. So I was like, no, I'll carry on. But so I decided to stop scanning the keepers. I never got there, so I think, like, technically I don't have their information. And just whenever I tell people, you know, that I didn't scan the keeper, it always just seems to pop up. Like, if I talk to my friend Liam, he's always just like, well, remember, you didn't scan the keepers. And the thing is, I don't know at this point if I have completely ruined something that will then affect Mass Effect 2 and 3, because I've yet to play them, or if I'm fine. But because
you made your friend Liam sound like an NPC, by the way. Like, every time you talk to him, what about the keepers, Rosie? Have you decided what to do about those?
Rosie, you have violated the law. But yeah, no, so that's a decision I've made. I'm still fearing if I've ruined it. But in my mind, I was just like, oh, it's a side quest, you know, I won't have that. Like, you know, I could have missed the side quest, but I think the game does make it quite obvious, like, this is a side quest you have to do. Well, you don't have to do it, but it is an optional side quest. So
you don't know what happens if you scan all the keepers? Because I don't know. I've never played Mass Effect. So you don't know if you've ruined the game or not. Has anybody else? Rob or Ash, can you make faces? What's happening?
I've scanned all the keepers. I always scan all the keepers as well.
I remember doing this. I remember spending hours in the Citadel before even continuing the main story, running around scanning these pain-in-the-neck keepers, finding them all and scanning.
In the lifts, going up and down.
Yeah.
This is what I mean. Whenever I talk to anyone about it, everyone's like, well, I scan the keepers. Why wouldn't you scan the keepers? And I was just like, but it's naughty. And I didn't want to be a naughty shepherd. I'm like, you know, law-abiding shepherd. Like,
maybe you're the only player in history, Rosie, to not scan the keepers.
Yeah. But this is what I mean.
I'm like,
have I ruined it? Like, I don't know.
I love that the only entry you could find for this feature was a game in which you might have done something which might be bad.
I was thinking for the longest time, and then I was thinking of Final Fantasy VIII, and then I'm glad I didn't go for that because obviously Rob's story.
Rosie,
but
you got more than one renegade point coming now, haven't you?
Oh, you've been bad. You stopped a mission midway through. I think that's going to reflect badly on you.
I will find out in due time how much I've ruined my game. I have a feeling I've ruined it. I'm pretty sure I have, but I'm scared.
You need all the alien data you can get, Rosie.
That's the thing I don't know.
I don't know why you wouldn't get it, Rosie. Call you Rosie Gage from now on.
Oh my god, I can't live with this.
Hey, Rosie, how many platinums you got now?
40. Yeah, it's like
Don't pretend every time you don't know. You know exactly how many you've got.
Hang on.
Say the number.
I'm going to look at the number now. I'm going to verify the number because I always get confused.
Makes me furious. It's 42.
Is it 40? Is it 42 or 43? I think it's 42.
Is it? Is it 42?
It is. It's 42.
Nice.
Rob, you are 100% correct.
It
is 42.
I think I'm on 33 now, Rosie. That's quite a lead. That might be it. This could be it.
Oh my god.
Maybe it's like, yeah.
I have a safe lead.
I don't know if that gap is recoverable.
Don't listen to him. He's just trying to make you relax, so you stop getting platinum trophies for a while, and then he'll quietly get loads in the background.
Rosie knows exactly how many platinums she's got. We have this performance every time, honestly. I'm not bitter. I've only got 10. Not at all. Give us a like if you enjoyed this video. Leave a comment if you've got your own story to share. And click the notification bell if you haven't already, so you always stay up to date with everything from the world of PlayStation. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you again soon.
PlayStation